right on them. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the Council on Future Conflict. My name is Scott. I'm the proprietor of the Future Conflict channel, and today we're talking about the Homeland hustle and Iran War Day 167. By the way, we are at episode 703. We made a bit of a glitch last week on our numbering, so we went back to like 660 or something like that. And we're not exactly sure how that happened, but we fixed it, and we hit 700 without knowing we had hit 700. Shockingly enough,
we fixed the glitch.
We fixed the glitch.
Fixed the glitch. Math is hard. Math is hard.
Math is hard for sure. Good news: we are able to keep the Iran war days, solid still. So. I'm back on my old setup. I got my old camera up here now, and I got a big monitor so I can actually see everybody and everything instead of my little crappy little laptop monitor. So life is good. Everything is, copacetic here. The job search continues on my end, gentlemen. I hope everything is going well for you as well in your lives.
Yeah.
How are you?
All is good. To join another Montana morning. I'm about to have a stage delivered outside that window for our concert this weekend. And hopefully I've got people on that handling that for me so I don't have to. But it's going to be a good time. We've got a Creedence Clearwater Revival. And hey, that's the first time I said that right. And a Leonard Skinner band going to be here this weekend, along with Earl's Classic Vinyl. And all of you who are at Mountain Readiness here got to hear the musical stylings of Earl. It's going to be a good time. There's going to be a lot of people out here. I've got some campers here already, and we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, it'd be great, man. That's, just a good old-fashioned down-home kind of fun. So I hope it goes well. Watcher, how about you? How's life in the Dusty West?
Doing good, man. Just nothing like rain when you need things to be dry to do specific tasks that have to get done. I'm not the only one who's feeling like that either, because they are about to harvest the grain, or at least they were supposed to be about to harvest the grain. But now we've got a week of rain for no apparent reason.
Yeah,
apart from that, doing good.
Well, rain is never a bad thing, right?
I mean, again, I need it dry.
Though, for our event this weekend, I could let it rain all day today. That'd be great because it would lessen the fire risk and it would keep the dust down on Saturday. But
it's about time, right? Time and amount.
Yeah. All right. Anything of note, to gentlemen, to bring to the attention of the chat before we get into our funny for the morning?
I was going to ask Washer a question, and he just vanished from the earth. So
poof.
really hit that back. But yeah, Washer, did you recover the adopted community nephew? Did you get him off the train and get him to your house and all that?
Yeah, I did. He's here and he's safe. We've ran into a bit of a stumbling block, which was when I was like, "Hey, I need your bank information so that I can pay you." He was like, "I don't have a bank account." So we're gonna get him set up on that. But apart from that, yeah, he's here and he's good, and he's we've put him to work already.
I don't have a bank account. Okay.
Yeah, that was a new one for me in modern day. I was like, okay, well, we're gonna take you down to the credit union.
Well, that's good. I mean, welcome to modernity. All right. Let's jump into it. We've got something funny. This is a follow-up to the Marco Rubio Pop-Tart discussion with his wife on the news the other day. I thought this would be appropriate. This just shows you all kinds of domestic trouble and conflict that we have to deal with here.
Hold on though. Oh yeah, no, go ahead. Never mind.
Oh, hold on. I just realized that doesn't have sound. There we go. Wait. No. Wrong screen in that time. With sound, wrong screen. What is going on?
Joe, you wouldn't know we do this like 3 times a week for the last 3 years.
They've changed the way they do the share thing. Oh, so and they've changed where the muting is. And I can turn it up and down.
You have to start from the beginning. There we go.
Maha!
At least it's a break from Marco Rubio having to take over some poor South American country. He gets to actually have a pop.
I got to address 2 things in the chat. First of all, I'm not sure why somebody wants to pay me to dress up as a pirate for Halloween, but I will. Just send the money and I'll be a pirate. That's fun.
Yeah.
And Doc Clark looks better not in powder blue. Man, I was just trying to broaden my horizons and be a little less tactical for a day. I'll just stick here with the tactical. We'll be all right.
There you go. All right. Do you want to share that Nephilim photo, Joe? Or
Watcher, it's in the CFC chat.
Oh, okay. Let me grab it.
I mean, yeah, our chat. Yeah. Dude, there was a discussion or several discussions had about Nephilims, as we had several in attendance at Mountain Readiness West. So this new policy has been implemented. If Watcher can find it real quick. Should we do the Jeopardy theme?
I mean, like I said, you would never know we've been doing this for so long. And Washer's like, they changed it all.
Man.
I mean, it looks the same to me from my end. Share. Maybe it looks different for him.
Well, here, I'll just share it because it will make life easier.
Yeah, well, Watcher, I know he's like, fuck this, I'm out. Computer crashed.
There it is. You want to share that screen?
Yeah.
Due to recent events, arguments about Nephilim are no longer permitted on the patio. So,
yes.
you can have them at other places, just not on the patio. So, because Thor believes he's a Nephilim dog, and it confuses the issue. So
he is definitely a big dog, that's for sure.
he is definitely a big dog. So anyway,
all right.
Well,
No Watcher. Now that Watcher is, let's just jump right into it. We could start the ladies portion of the show. Let's see if I can figure out this share screen thing. There we go. Hit that share button. Boom. What do you think, Joe? You think the ladies are going to be happy?
I wasn't joking when I talked about what the priority President Trump for setting the.
All right, so we got a little Pete Hegseth. He did a stop down in Panama at the Jungle School. I mean, it seems pretty claimish to me on this whole thing. The SecDef and the U.S. military have basically said, this is ours now. So here we go. Let's listen to this guy.
To President Trump for setting a clear mission that we're going to make this hemisphere fight a real thing. And it is night and day, a year and a half, night. Go talk to anybody that looked at Southcom. I wasn't joking when I talked about what the priorities were. It was gender issues and climate change and diversity. It was like USAID with some guns. This is a different Southcom. This is a different mission. We are focused on military capabilities against real threats who need to be deterred and defeated, and we're going to give them everything they need to do it. To President Trump for setting a clear mission that we're going to make.
Pretty good stuff he's saying there, Joe. You want to kind of comment on that broadly?
I mean, the Jungle School is no joke. It is a good place to learn. You will lose weight while you are there. It's just the way that it works. And it's hot. So it's actually good. And the president of Colombia, who we're about to get into here in a minute, has actually officially requested U.S. support for his fight against the cartels. So Southcom may very well get a real-world mission pretty quick.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I just see that this between Panama and then you got Guantanamo, and we've got this whole thing where the Colombian president has basically said that he's okaying, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. It's let me get to I think the next one is, so the next one is more Pete Hegseth talking about, this is from the same interview. All right, let me restart this one.
On Cuba, the president says Cuba will be next. Is there a military role in that?
Like I've said before, and I think you've seen what happened in other cases, all options are on the table, to include military options. And I think Cuba would be wise to pay attention to the willingness of President Trump to assert American strategic prerogatives. And there's certainly no match for the United States of America. And if you see what foreign influence has been able to do in our hemisphere, it's been pretty minimal. The Russians and the Cubans and the Iranians in Venezuela, the way that countries have moved toward the United States, toward the ACCC, toward this partnership, they understand where the balance of power lies, especially in this hemisphere. And that certainly pertains to Cuba. So we're going to have a lot of options there, and we look forward to it. So
on Cuba, the president says Cuba will be next. Is there a military role in that?
There we go. All right, sorry, I was on the wrong window. I just saw when I saw these gifted membership from Low-Key LARP pop up in the chat, I just realized I didn't have my Rumble chat open. So bad Scott. So let me do that real quick. Pop out chat. Blah blah blah. Joe, what they're not saying that we're going to go to war anytime soon, but they're also saying all options are on the table. Sounds pretty Sounds like they're thinking about it. They're not, maybe they're not planning it directly, but they're definitely not throwing cold water on that. Thoughts on your take on that?
It's hawkish at best. So I think that if I was Cuba, I would be worried. We've tried a pressure campaign on them. They really didn't respond to it because they never have. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes here. But the general consensus is, and I think some of the leaks were, that once we nail down whatever is happening with Iran and bring that to a close, which doesn't look like we're ever going to do, that then Cuba would be next on the menu. So we shall see.
Yeah. And by the way, I did pause on this right here just so all the ladies have something to look at while we're talking about this boring topic of hemispheric security. So let's go straight into the next one here. This next one is Colombia. Oh, looks like Watcher is back. I'll let him add.
Hey, Watcher.
Watcher, we're back on.
I was
we're on
following.
the first one for Colombia. Yeah.
There we go. Second. Did you see how they moved the volume control for the shared screen thing?
No, I don't. I mean, everything looks exactly the same to me, so I haven't seen anything different, and I don't mess with the volume.
On the screen now. All right, whenever you're ready.
I'm also proud to announce that Colombia will join the ACCC, becoming the 19th member. And through the newly inaugurated president, as our president likes to say, President El Tigre, Colombia has already requested that the Department of War join Colombia in its fight against narco-terrorism, authorizing joint military operations to destroy terrorists and terror networks. Thank you very much. Aggressive.
So well, that's pretty definitive. Looks like we will probably be sending folks to help out in Colombia in the near future. Colombia. So we have an entire little mini section here in the odds and ends featuring Colombia because I think it was is it either Monday or Friday we talked about Colombia because they started going on the warpath after this new president. I think it was Monday. And so we just kind of catching up with some of what's going on there. This next one here, this is a speech by him, and it's all in Spanish, so you don't have to necessarily, play it with any audio. But I can say this is from his account. So he says. So just kind of reading what he posted. Order is non-negotiable. The legitimate force of the state does not yield to crime. Our national army struck the 39th structure of the FARC dissident groups under the command of criminal alias Mordisco in Maripan Meta. This is in this operation. Let's see. There was a individual rescued after 11 months of captivity. A minor was recovered from the hands of this criminal group, and 3 of its members were captured. Additionally, rifles, magazines, ammunition, and materials used by this structure were seized. To our soldiers, my recognition for their courage and precision, and to the criminals, a clear message: either you submit to justice or they will face the full force of the Republic. And then, of course, he says, honor and glory to the heroes. That seems to remind me of something from fiction. I can't remember. Like Dune, was it? Like had something like that?
Well, I like how he was being totally the stereotypical Latino male in that video, right? Standing up at full length and pointing and hand gestures and.
Well, the fact that he doesn't have his sash on kind of disappointed me a little bit, Joe.
Yeah, sort of a South American thing, right?
Any kind of further thought? Well, let's just kind of go through these next couple ones here. Let's see, that's the first one. So let's look at the next one here.
Apparently, when you get rescued by the Ejército Colombiana, you get issued a small Latina in fatigues. And
I know, right? I mean, worse things have happened, right? So here's
Yeah.
if we move on to the next one here, Watcher. So this is kind of more at the ground level. In the development of the sustained offensive underway in Antioquia, soldiers from the number 7 Rapid Deployment Force through military intelligence operations located at the illegal depot that would apparently belong to the residual armed group of Structure 36 of the FARC in the La Palestina of Verda of the Bricinio municipality. At the site, 14 improvised explosive devices with pressure activation methods. So that's a lot of, like, right there. Those are not small bombs. And I'm not exactly sure what's in there. Let's see. It says 14 pressure activated were found destroyed to control menor, 200 meters of det cord, 13 electronic detonators, 4 voltage detonators, 1 jar of mercury, 2 jars of PVC glue, and 10 syringes. With this result, the National Army decisively impacts the capacity of the armed structure to employ explosive devices against civilian population and the troops. Thus, we continue working with the security of the communities and the protection of those who fulfill the constitutional mission in this area. You know, I will say this AI auto translate feature is amazing because it allows you now to read people's tweets in other languages. But there are just certain things that just never come across, right? I think
right. It doesn't necessarily always get the word order right or anything like that.
Exactly right. So bear with me while I read these.
That chick says, Scott, I hereby submit my candidacy for your pronunciation specialist.
I know, right?
It doesn't count because you speak Canadian, and we don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I don't speak. I wouldn't speak French if I could. So
besides, if we started taking on a staff, we'd have to start doing credits at the end, like our personal seat fit expert Wilma Buttfit.
Yeah. All right, card talk.
Besides, over the last few weeks, we were told the only French we need to learn was
Oui, oui, oui. No.
What's that? You
Those
don't speak.
Those who don't know, there was some campers showed up here, and I give the whole spiel about the camp, and they're like, "We don't speak a word of English." I'm like, "That's going to work out well on your 3,000-mile journey across the United States."
Correct.
I know, right?
But if I remember correctly, they also refused to use auto translate, so that'll be fun.
They worked it out talking with a few other people there, but it was something.
All right. So this last one here is combatants. Only now are combatants beginning. So the Army, because of their offensive operations, has scared the bejesus out of some of the part-timers, the people who kind of, the people who join because it's fun to join and like, oh, I'm doing something. I'm doing my part. And then all of a sudden people start dying. And it's like, wait a second, where could I turn my weapon into the government? And so now you've got desertions from narco terrorists are beginning. And so that's exactly what this is a organized turn in of weapons and equipment to the Colombian government from one of these groups. And now don't you, just because they walk up with weapons and they lay their weapons on the table, those weapons probably have no bolts in them and much less rounds. Basically it all happens before the cameras show up, and then they do this kind of spectacle for the cameras to demobilize.
They don't show you that after the camera stopped rolling, they march those dudes around behind that tent where there's a large grave dug and just blast them.
Well, that may not be true, Joe. I mean, come on. They're there to face justice. Maybe that is justice. Anyway, so that's what you got going on here. So Colombia is on the march. Good things happening for those people. And it's about time after the double whammy of narco terrorism and you know, what do you call it? Communism, I guess, you know, which is essentially narco terrorism.
Yeah.
You talking about mutant banhammer, or you're talking about the video displaying the proud new owner of a colostomy bag in Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Mexican government. They failed to clear the weapon and just
Yeah.
started sawing away. And
Yeah, it
we're
was a
shocked,
shotgun, right?
Shocked, I tell you, when somebody got shot.
Shocked, I tell you, that Watcher yeeted himself from the room again. All right. Let's see, there he is.
I'm gonna have to
Back.
computer maintenance after the show.
Remember the conversation about the back button earlier?
No, it wasn't even that this time. My browser crashed. Like, I've got weird stuff going on. I'm gonna need to do some maintenance after the show today.
Okay.
You want me to go to the next one?
Let's see, where are we at? Okay, yeah, Russia versus Japan. So this is a good map. I'm going to read from the next one. So just once we kind of get through the first paragraph here, you can go over to the video from the next one. For the first time in almost 27 years in power, Putin personally visited the occupied Kuril Islands, arriving on Iturup. The trip formed part of his Far East tour after observing the Pacific Fleet exercise in Sakhalin. Previously, only Dmitry Medvedev had visited as president in 2010. Japan, which considers the South Kurils its northern territories under illegal occupation, strongly protested. Basically, I mean, let's be honest. I love Japan, but possession is 9/10 of the law in this kind of crap. Should Japan have access to these islands? Yes, but they don't. You know, so it's kind of like, what are you gonna do? You know, unless you're willing to go to war over them. You know, it's kind of like, I just don't know why people get so excited over this kind of stuff.
I mean, the Soviets took it at the end of World War II as we were all encroaching upon Japan, right?
Yeah.
We still hold Saipan, and they don't say the same thing about Saipan. They do a little bit about Okinawa, but they don't about Saipan. So it's interesting which fights they choose to take, right? But Russia made a great statement, and he said, listen, the Russian president, when he does domestic travel, doesn't need to check with any other foreign government. And it's kind of a bold statement, but it's also kind of true, right?
Yeah. That's true. I mean, so, you know, unless those foreign governments, you know, are actively threatening to kill him, then it would be one of those kind of things where you'd basically,
So
you would need to take action at that point, right?
Wars have consequences, and when you lose a war, you sometimes lose territory. And Caravaggio, Crimea, has entered the chat. Hey, listen, except for a brief period, Russia has had Crimea since about the 1400s. So that's not really the best argument to make.
Well, and the other one that comes to mind is Kaliningrad in Poland, which was Germany. It was Germany when the Russians took it over. It became part of Poland, I guess, because it was the city of Danzig, and so I don't know. I mean, it is 100% Russian now. They have completely ethnically cleansed that entire city. So it's like, who's going to come back to there? You know, I don't know. This is one of these problems.
So you're saying ethnic cleansing works?
Of course it works. Everybody, see, that's why everybody hates it. It's because they know it works. Let me look at America.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on, shall we? I think that's it for odds and ends there. Joe, you want to talk a little bit about tactical-wisdom.com?
Sure. Well, we have a lot of good stuff coming up. We have we have this concert this weekend, and then the next thing we have after that, I think I have a combatives class listed for the 21st to the 23rd, and then we have some handgun classes on the 29th and 30th. So come on out and get involved in those. But our next big event is in September. We're gonna have Brush Beater out here from North Carolina teaching RTO, advanced RTO, and SIGINT. So come and learn all things radio. In fact, I was just telling one of our campground guests that last night, and he's going to come back for it. And Kay will be here doing close quarters battle level 2 and hard target traveler, which I'm enrolled in. That's going to be a really good and fun class. Come and hang out with all your favorites and all your friends. Some of the folks from Mountain Readiness event will be back to hang out for this one. So it's going to be a good time. You can register for my classes over there at tactical-wisdom.com. I've listed a whole bunch more in North Carolina, like the combatives classes I'm doing there, along with my community security ops class there. So check those out. Come on out and make it happen.
All right, very good. All right, let's do my brush beater ad here. All right. Here we go. In the midst of a variety of U.S. domestic conflicts and rising sources of tension at home, while Iran war continues with no clear sight, and of course, you've got the hemispheric defense ramping up, the pressure is mounted both inside and outside our borders and abroad. When chaos hits the streets and the grid goes quiet, you need independent communications you can actually rely on. The Brush Beater store has you covered with serious radio gear and training. The AR-152 Pro, a rugged, high-performance handheld radio built like a tank, 10-watt tri-power output, massive 12,000 milliamp battery, built-in GPS with APRS tracking, expanded frequency coverage, including airband, and multiple antennas for superior range. When cell service dies, back it with the RTO course. Hands-on, no bullshit training that teaches you how to build real signals, operate instructions, manage frequencies under pressure, and run secure group communications in high threat environments. Get the AR-152 Pro at brushbeater.store/product/AR-152-Pro. Enroll in the RTO course at brushbeater.store/collection/training. Use code CFC10 for 5% off all radios, accessories, and courses. Orders over $150 shipped for free. Big thanks to Matt and Brush Beater Store for powering the Council on Future Conflict as domestic conflict escalates and the Iran war continues. Head to brushbeater.store, enter code CFC10, and build the connected security presence your community needs. Now back to the show. A lot of good stuff happening at the G Camp and Brush Beater Store. I am just constantly surprised at how much he's able to, keep, his stock just continues to increase. So some really good stuff. Hey, Mr. Blaine Pardo.
Good morning.
I hope your back button is not acting
Leave
up.
the back door open. Blaine Pardo shows up.
Hey, I'm not a backdoor guy, Joe.
Whoa.
That's exit only. That's exit only.
That reminds me. I had a memory pop up on Facebook that it was, and the memory is just a picture of me and Sibley's beers side by side at that event in the Shenandoah Valley. And I was like, Sibley, it's the anniversary of our cuddling event. Speaking of backdoor guys, and
well, I was gonna say, this is a good opportunity to talk about Djibouti because you mentioned Djibouti in an actual story, and what happens? But some absolutely window licking troll from Djibouti shows up.
A guy
in the comments.
who lives in Djibouti.
Claims to live in Djibouti. He is definitely a backdoor man. Came in and well, Joe, I mean, I think you were a hillbilly and a redneck and inbred and all this kind of things that he was calling. I don't know that he was calling you that, but he was definitely calling our supporters who jumped in the comments because let's be honest,
he really made the mistake of saying, well, we Djiboutians travel a lot and go all kinds of
Uh-huh.
places. I said, so you're saying Djibouti gets around? And
Yeah.
well, he didn't like that either. But we were all having way too much fun with the Djibouti guy in the comments section. I think he finally gave up on it, but it was beautiful.
Will we finally see a wild Scott at the G camp? I don't know how wild I'll be, but if I come, it will be a surprise. I don't want to commit to anything yet because, well, let's be honest, the purse strings are holding me hostage, and they're not controlled by me. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm working on it.
Be a man, Scott. Be a man.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
It's-
I get it though. But we would
Right.
love to have you there, and mainly so you
can't-
can help me stab people in the dark.
I'm looking forward to it. I really want to do it. You know, and in support of that, I did my first ruck march yesterday. You know, back. I won't lie. I terminated it early at about 5 miles because of a thunderstorm that was coming in. I was like, I don't feel like walking in the rain today, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to stop. So that was a little on the short side for me, but
Well, I'll tell you, the best way for to practice and train for mats isn't the long marches and all that. It's going up an incline, and it's that hill. And all of you there know exactly what hill I'm talking about. It looks so gentle and peaceful, but
is that the one that goes down to that bottom land?
Not the one we came up from the range, but the one that goes down to the tobacco barns.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's the Scott and Heimdall. Scott's been there. Scott does know the hill. We came up the hill, but Scott and I were smart, and we came through the woods rather than up the long one.
Yeah,
because going through the woods is much easier than going up the hill. But yeah,
There is so much sexual innuendo stuff that I could do with this. It's easier to go.
well, listen,
it
there
is
was
to go
also a
up the
famous
hill.
incident the last time Scott was there that involved 3 men sleeping together on a garage floor in sleeping bags, and it was me, Scott, and Jim. But we don't talk about what happened there. So
we thought for sure Jim was going to be Asian, but he turned out to be just as white as you and me. So
Jim actually impressed everybody that February too. But we're all sitting there drinking. It's late at night, and Jim goes, "Where's my sleeping bag?" And I said, I tossed him one, and he goes, "All right, I'll see you." And it's like 24 degrees, and Jim just wanders off into the woods with nothing but a sleeping bag. Everyone's like, "That's a hard man." I'm like, I don't think anyone's ever called Jim a hard man before that. But Jim's tough, man.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's first of all, Blaine, welcome. It's always great to have you on the show. What's new in your world? Anything kind of tickling your pickle? Speaking of innuendo.
I'm just excited that AOC's frozen her eggs. Thank God. And let's be honest. I think we all owe a debt to her former boyfriend now, who dated her for 15 years. Talk about a guy who took one for the team.
Well, I mean, look,
I believe the general consensus is he didn't take one. That's
I was just gonna say, I think the consensus was, she comes off birth control and suddenly she finds her gay fiance unattractive. Weird.
I think it's more along the part that's funny to me is she's running around for the last 8 years or so, screaming, "We got to be able to abort children, etc." But by God, I'm going to freeze my eggs. I just wonder, is she going to get it pregnant and then abort them?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because that's something that's so batshit crazy. She would do.
Yeah, you know what? I'd put odds on that.
Yeah, it's definitely not zero.
Yeah. And wait till you see what the next boyfriend looks like. Yeah, she's going to pick somebody that will check off boxes for her White House run.
Yeah.
Van Hammer's right. Regardless, Joe, of whether AOC's previous boyfriend took one for the team or not, we can all appreciate his sacrifice. That's true. That man did deal with some things for us all. So,
well, is this the guy who was part of her campaign and all this kind of stuff?
Yes.
And the red, I guess he was a ginger or something like that, right? Like a redheaded guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they were supposed to get. I thought he was supposed to get. They were going to get married or something like this, but I guess the ginger
Well-
side in fiction continues, and he will soon be replaced by a black man.
Well, I think
So
that the actual hangup was that once they get married, his financials would have to be disclosed, and I don't think they wanted to do that.
yeah. It would be interesting. Is he rich or is he got nothing? That's my
Well,
question.
I just want to put the word out there that if some company was to offer him some money for an expose book, it'd probably make a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, big time.
I'd totally buy that.
All right, let's move into our main section today. All right, so we're going back to the National Guard deployments in cities. Not the worst idea ever, especially when it comes to places like Chicago. This is a little on the long side, so let's do about the first 2 minutes, watcher, and then push pause, and then I'll let you guys comment.
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called DC, District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous. And there are people in this audience that you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged and hurt badly, and they don't want to talk about it. Maybe you were very brave in talking about it. You made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it.
That's where he called somebody out.
That have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in D.C. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a restaurant. New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago, it became what's known as a safe zone. It's a safe city. And this city was really bad, really, really bad. We took 1,600 people out, hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it. You know, to have our nation's capital lose every week, you know, it was like years, many years where every single week, somebody was killed for many consecutive weeks. This went on for years. And then we had last week, it was announced that nobody was killed last week. And I made that announcement in front of a very distinguished leader of a country. And I'm saying proudly, ladies and gentlemen, nobody was killed in Washington, D.C. this week. He looked at me like, what's that all about? I say, yeah, we have a little bit of a crime problem. And we don't have a crime problem in Washington anymore. And the mayor.
So so basically he just continues on and on, but the whole point there is that we have crime problems, and he has a responsibility to keep federal facilities and other kind of constituencies safe. What say you guys on this?
I think that he constantly makes a tactical error when he feels a need to take credit for more than what's actually happened. He shouldn't have said we have no crime, because all it takes is a single armed robbery or a single carjacking, and the New York Times and Washington Post will run with that for 6 weeks about Trump said no crime, but here is a crime that happened. He should have said we've greatly reduced crime and just moved on with that. It may seem like a small pedantic thing, but it's actually a political consideration, right?
Yeah.
It breeds credit to them that Donald Trump is lying to you, and we don't need that.
So just kind of talking directly about the need for National Guard in Chicago. I mean, I don't think that I think that there probably is a need for it. I just wish he wouldn't kind of drop You know, I think that's kind of what you were getting at. If you're going to do it. Otherwise, don't talk about it until you actually do it.
Well, the DC City Council yesterday wrote letters to all of the states' governors who have their National Guard troops in DC and asked them to recall them, which they can't do. We all know that. But DC is struggling with this concept called home rule. And if you guys aren't familiar with home rule, we get pounded into us as a suburb of DC or an outskirt of DC. They have to have their own rule. They're going to fight Trump hand and fist. We are talking about city council people who are literally saying, take these National Guard troops off the streets. We've got this. And it's like, no, you didn't have it before. You were cooking the books when it came to the numbers. And that, by the way, has been proven. DC and Memphis have had remarkable drops in crime. And the citizens, when the local news media goes out and actually interviews people on the street, their overall opinion is keep these people here. We don't, things are better with these people here. So this is all political. It has been turned into a political thing. And I think Trump's is right. Chicago is a hot, steamy mess. And there's, what are they going to do? Go down and protest? Well, of course they will. They'll go down and protest when the National Guard arrives. And it's going to be the same actors who are protesting ICE and the same actors that protest abortion and everything else. They're the paid people that show up. But in the end, the people who live in that city want that kind of safety.
Yeah.
You don't take shots when somebody is standing there holding an assault weapon that they could turn right back on you. You're not going to do it. And a lot of these are gang activities where there's a lot of shooting going on. You're never going to solve the domestic, the husband who goes batshit and he's drunk or on drugs and shoots his wife or whatever. You're not going to fix that. But you are going to fix this other stuff.
The sad thing is, and Joe, you could probably speak to this better than any of us, is visible security is real security, right? Like when there is a presence, and we may not like the militarized police. The problem with the militarized police is it only shows up after something happens, right? It's not there as of like a visible preference, But when you've got police and National Guard and people like kind of Blaine was saying with visible, symbols of force ready to be used, you don't have security problems in those areas, generally speaking. No.
Well, I don't agree with your comment about the militarized police only arrive after the fact. You've obviously never seen a game warden get out of his vehicle. But I digress. They get out like they're the most tactical of the tactical cops, and you're a game warden, bro. Relax.
Yeah.
But you have to have a visible deterrent. Like the crime triangle includes opportunity and risk, right? And the lower the risk, the greater the opportunity for crime. So if you create that risk of detection by having a visible security presence or visible law enforcement presence, you're going to lower the incidence. Just taking away one leg of the triangle, I guess. And it's absolutely important.
Well, and I will tell you in DC, what's also going on, you don't hear about it a lot of it nationally, is they were imposing strict curfews for kids to break up these groups of kids that would go on this mob kind of
the takeovers and stuff. Yeah.
And the city council fought that tooth and nail. They're like, you're restricting rights. This is racist. All the usual bullshit stuff. But what no one talked about was it worked. Once you started going, there's a strict curfew. Oh, and they were fining the parents for this when they caught these kids. And by the way, that works. When the parents have to cough up money because they're not watching and paying attention to where their kids go, guess what? It's going to cost, they're going to put an end to it. So, the city council in DC is struggling because they want home rule. They want to be a state. They want senators. They want voting representatives.
Never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Well, if the Democrats get in charge, they will push for it. Trust me, because it gives them 2 more Democratic senators and the appropriate number of representatives. That's what this is all about. And I don't think the American people are better served by DC having representation like that. The truth of the matter is DC as a government would completely collapse if the federal government said, fine, we're cutting off all our federal funds, other than what a normal
because
state.
That's where all the money comes from.
Yeah, the metro system paid for by the federals. It's not paid for by the people who ride on it. That's barely a drop in the bucket. Most of the DC services are paid for by the federal government. They cannot subsist on their own. And I hear this all the time. My son brings up California. California is equivalent to the 5th largest country on the planet. We could survive on our own. I said, you couldn't last 48 hours on your own. You don't have oil that you're pumping anymore. Your oil companies have moved out. You don't have your own defense. You don't have any of that stuff. You don't have your own currency. You can't survive on your own. States can't.
Not even the National Guard vehicles belong to the state. They belong to the federal government.
Right.
So.
Well,
it's the whole thing. But it's a fallacy that the left pushes is we could go it alone.
Yeah. Well, so the interesting thing about what would need to happen in order for them to become a state is, the good news is it's actually in the Constitution. Like DC's position is in the Constitution. There is that kind of keeps them from becoming a state. That being said, it's generally hard for that to happen. All right, let's.
Well, I just want to say, as long as we're laughing at California about that specific issue, the one I always chuckle about is, hey, you know how Colorado, Idaho, and Arizona are literally dying from lack of water and all their reservoirs are drying up? Do you know why that is? It's a sweetheart deal that got made back in the old Chinatown days to send a pipeline full of Colorado River water out to California to make LA livable. Do you know what would be the first thing that would go away?
Yeah.
Well, the good news is they get most of their water now from the Central Valley from LA. It's one of the problems with the Central Valley now is they don't have enough well water because of all the water going over the mountains into LA. So, yeah, California would be fucked. All right. Let us digress.
That's a feature, not a bug.
Right. By the way, Cho, I would love to talk about the NFA and all that kind of stuff, but Joe's a little right. It's kind of a bit off topic. Let's just say don't trust the federal government as far as you can throw them.
All you guys posting photos of your chopped guns today, don't do that. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let what's his face, Brandon Herrera, handle the whole public display on that one. Guy's got money and he's got protection now that he's a member of Congress. So,
well, I don't think he's won his congressional race yet, has he?
No, but he's pretty much a shoo-in.
Yeah, you're right about that. He is definitely. The Democrat is not going to beat him. Lance Corporal Veteran says California separatists admitted their solution for all their trade, defense, and finance is to be a indebted Chinese vassal state. Well, I'm sure the Chinese would love to send them money for that honor.
I'd like to see the Chinese ship them water.
Well,
hand oil. Trust me, it's not happening.
Yeah, it's never gonna happen, right? It's just one of those kind of things that'll never happen. That being said, I love their fantasy that they have with it.
China does not want the headache that is California. Trust me, they just don't. My wife just got back from there. My son's opening a salon, and there are people that are bathing at night using his water spigot outdoors. You have to go through and have plumbers cut it off from the inside, put on a valve to cut it off because the homeless people are coming at night. He came back the other day. He said, there's 14 empty DVD cases on my front step. What the fuck is going on at night here? Like, the situation is very grim in LA.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'd say they want it just without the people. They're developing biological weapons to make that happen.
Yeah.
So let's move on to another horror story, shall we?
Yeah. So on to the Muslim colonization of the United States. So we've got two interesting stories. This is the first one, I think, is Cam Higbee working with James O'Keefe. Yesterday, this is Cam Higbee saying, yesterday I went to Minneapolis polls disguised as a Muslim woman. Poll workers were going to let me vote in other people's names and then vouch for 8 other unregistered voters. So let's just watch this video, shall we? There's James O'Keefe. You'd think these people would recognize him by now.
They're not that bright, Scott.
Yeah, sorry.
I keep forgetting.
I was literally just going to say, and I was muted, I was going to say, gee, how does nobody know that Clark Kent is Superman? That's really weird. Oops, wrong button again.
Yeah, just play the video. Yeah, so I'm sure somebody they'll be calling for his arrest due to voter fraud or something like that at some point. And then we've got the persistence that Scott Pressler did his own post on this. He says, most important video of 2026, James O'Keefe did an undercover operation to expose Minnesota's corrupt vouching system. According to law, one registered Minnesota voter can vouch for up to 8 people. Those 8 people do not need ID. Who are the ID? An election worker told O'Keefe. Dressed in a niqab, the Cam Higbee showed that transgender Muslim women can easily be vouched for as faceless voter without ID. There's no record of persons being vouched for. There's no system in place to stop one registered Minnesota voter from vouching for 8 people at multiple precincts. There's nothing stopping the vouching system from being abused. This is a constitutional crisis. Pass Save America Act. I 100% agree with that. You guys want to? He gives a little more video and a little more content here. If you want to see the video.
I'm not surprised by it. It was an issue in the last election. I don't know why anyone's surprised by that, though.
Yeah, this isn't news, really. Honestly, all it is validation.
Yeah.
Minnesota has fallen. California has fallen. There's a lot of places that are just gone. It's not that they're redeemable even at this point. And we've seen it over and over. And Minneapolis is a hellhole. Let it be what it's going to be. And I'm almost at that point with Detroit.
Well, yeah, it's like they get exactly what they deserve, right? I mean, I hate to say it. Yeah, as long as they don't affect the wider kind of political ecosphere, then, ultimately fuck them. Let's watch this video here.
Say that I'm vouching for them. The name is William Lawrence. The question about the vouching program, vouching. I can vouch for them, but
10 out of 10, best Arabic accent, no notes.
That's okay. That's fine. Can I bring 5 more from up to 8 people? Okay, that's a good thing. We go back and we get Krishna and Ernesto and Mohammed. In Minnesota, you can show up on election day and vouch for up to 8 unregistered voters. Members of the Justice League dress up in traditional Muslim attire, including a transgender wearing a burqa.
and put this vouching law to an extreme test on primary day, August 11th.
How do you know it's a transvestite?
Shot caller, 20-inch blade, Johnny and Paula.
The vouching?
You're
Yeah.
vouching for.
I vouch for them.
Oh, great.
Is that okay?
I'm sorry. He's still got it. I have to say it out loud and just hand it to him. James, you still got it, man.
Why is there always got to be a tranny in the group? A tranny or a gay person?
Vouching for a transvestite.
Well, look, they just got they're selling it better in Minneapolis. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
How does that work?
Well, if you're all in the same precinct,
Yes.
and you are already registered, which it looks like you are, then you can vouch for them as ID for them.
Oh, good.
She says to me, I say they do not need ID. She says, you are the ID.
He is the ID.
See, I am the ID.
And no ID needed. I just vouch for them.
Well,
That's
you're
good.
the ID.
I am the ID. It's good. How many people may I vouch for?
This guy's like, this is fucking sus. as fuck.
8?
I thought it was 6.
I can vouch for 8 people. 8 people, no ID. We come right back. Thank you.
Most poll workers we visited were willing to let us vouch with no questions asked, even when presented with the most absurd situation imaginable. While other poll workers did take issue with our investigation, revealing their awareness that something about this vouching system is deeply flawed or wrong. Yet for some reason, they don't want us to.
Huh. Go
Well done.
figure. No voting, illegal voting or voter. I'm just speechless at just how fucked our voting system is.
Oh,
The only problem I have is that they're probably going to have him arrested for some sort of criminal act there.
Yeah, voter fraud, something like that. You know, Joe. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This is the kind of thing. If this is okay, then if you live out in one of the rural areas in Minnesota where you're likely to have a majority conservative or a close conservative, then you just show up with 8 of your relatives from out of state and have them vote, and you just vouch.
Well, there was one of the counties where we first detected fraud in Michigan was it's not Grand Traverse, Antrim County, way up in northern Michigan, where the vote results nowhere matched the demographics. And it was a similar type situation because Michigan had just before the election changed the voter registration law to say that every person who gets a driver's license automatically gets voter registration, but illegals could also now get a driver's license. So all of a sudden you have this odd vote in a deeply red area for all blue candidates. And it turns out that was likely the cause right there. Is out of illegal alien driver's licenses, which require less documentation than a regular one.
Yeah.
Can I just make a logical walkthrough observation here? So Michigan very obviously has a fully compromised voting system, right? Which means
Depends
that
on your perspective. It might have the most perfect one if you're a Democrat.
well,
You're a Democrat.
right. So given that, that means that no internal reform is possible.
It's even worse than that,
Correct?
Washer. It's actually unlawful to attempt it because Jocelyn Benson had the Secretary of State campaign to get a law passed after the last election, after the 2020 election, that said that it's unlawful for a county clerk to investigate voter fraud. That's literally in the job description of a county clerk, but she made it unlawful for them to actually conduct an investigation and remove people from the voter laws. So they're actually securing it through legal action.
So given that all that is true, thus the only way this gets fixed is an outside power coming in and imposing its will.
Correct. Corn nails it in the chat, said Benson will be the next governor no matter who or how people vote. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, I was really hoping for that Hong woman to become the governor because then she could destroy the state. And then, you know, you
She's
might
not in Michigan, though.
She's in Wisconsin.
Oh, I'm Wisconsin. That's what I'm sorry. I got the two confused. But yeah.
Wisconsin is like the boil on the back of Michigan.
Don't get it wrong. Benson's going to ruin the government too, but Whitmer already did a fine job. But the point is that no one who's ever the Secretary of State during an election cycle should be allowed to run for governor, because you are the one responsible for ensuring election integrity, yet you're also in the election. That's a conflict of interest from the very beginning.
All right, let's move on. I think we got one more in the Muslim colonization of America. Attempted Muslim colonization. It hasn't occurred yet. Outrageous Texas school bus kids to mosques so they can experience Islam. Outrages exploded as public students were loaded into a yellow school bus driven straight to Islamic Center so they could experience Islam up close. The organizers could barely contain their excitement. In their own promotional video, they celebrated how the kids showed up and potentially left transformed. This is not happening in some blue state sanctuary city. This is Texas. Let's watch this video here.
It's always exciting to have the.
Hold on. Let's go to X so we can watch
open
full
it in
screen.
X. Yeah.
To have the opportunity to speak to the general community about Islam. And this past week, right before Ramadan started, we were blessed to have a group of high school students from Kingwood High School and Atascocita High School come and visit the Centro Islamico. And this group was mixed with Muslims and people from other faiths. And their teachers wanted them to see a different side of the Muslims, the diversity within our community. And these are, brothers and sisters, of the greatest blessings that we can have, is to be able to explain to the younger generation not only what Islam is and how it impacted our lives, but also giving them an insight to the work of Islam in Spanish, and also what the Centro Islamico means to us and what we try to live by when it comes to hosting people here and making them feel at home. And many times we may underestimate the impact that may have when you have over 30 students being able to go back to X amount of classmates that they can speak about what their experience was here at the Centro Islamico, what they heard about when Islam impacted these individuals' lives, but also when they're able to go back and speak to their families of this experience. We hope at minimum that it was something positive and definitely not something that was negative, and at times an opportunity to wipe away many misinformation and stereotypes that one may have against the Muslims. So it was an opportunity, alhamdulillah, that we were given by Allah.
Alhamdulillah.
Always by his help and also the support of the community.
All right, I've heard enough. So they don't when they're trying to indoctrinate you, they don't take you to the shitty mosque down in the strip mall. They take you to the nicest one that they can find. And that's one of the reasons why in places like Texas, they're putting all this money into these Islamic centers to show a distorted and, let's be honest, a liar's view of Islam.
Unless they took them also to a synagogue and a church, this violates the First Amendment.
Oh no!
And I guarantee you, they didn't take them to any of those places. They didn't take them to one of the mosques that has the AKs leaning up against the wall, of which there are plenty in the United States, right? Man, it's absolutely ridiculous. This is one of those things where you should be at your next school board meeting. You should be at your next city council meeting. You should actually be very vocal against this.
Before we
Hey, hold a second, Blaine, go ahead and get in.
I got a shot or two here. If you really want to show the Muslim experience, you show the video 102 minutes where the planes are flying into the World Trade Center. You show the bombing of the barracks, Marine barracks in Lebanon. And
Crowbar Towers.
And as soon as they get off the bus, so they can truly experience the Muslim experience, the first girl that gets off not wearing a hijab is stoned in front of the other girls so that they understand what their place is in society. And, it literally, they shouldn't be asking questions of the men during these kind of conversations because, hey, let's give them the full Muslim experience.
Yeah.
This is such a bunch of propagandic bullshit. It's annoying. And I agree with Joe. If you're going to do this, then take them to a synagogue. Take them to a Christian church.
Well,
let them experience all that stuff. But they're not doing that. And then everyone knows they're not doing it.
Even better, where is the radical left, screaming about separation of church and state? I mean, so if you had even hinted at wanting to go visit a Christian center, it would have been, all kinds of hue and
that's
cry.
Racist. Yeah. And by the way, separation of church and state does not appear anywhere except in one court decision. It's not actually
in the
constitutional thing.
That's right.
Yeah, it's there. You won't have a state-run religion.
That's entirely different from a separation of church and state. Those are not the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Watcher.
I before we move on, I just wanted to tell you that they're also colonizing the bathrooms in Texas. This literally just came out yesterday that they're going to install these Muslim foot bathrooms.
Abolition, right.
Yeah, because
you know what I've noticed, that the foot basin looks enough like a toilet that if you accidentally used it as such,
I was
wondering, would actually blame you.
I thought it was a squatty potty.
So I think the way this happened is worth commenting on. The way this happened is that the taxi drivers decided that they were going to force it to happen. And the way that they did that is that they would park whenever they would come in and do their little foot wash, but in the regular height sinks, which would then create a giant fucking flood throughout all the bathroom and would put structural stress on the sinks and start to break them off the wall. And so they said, oh, but don't worry about it. We now have a private funder that'll come in and install our foot sinks for free.
Sure they do. That private funder is called the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE.
Correct.
So Islam in Spanish lists East Plano Islamic Center amongst its partners. The same network sits at the center of a much larger pattern unfolding in Texas. Just days ago, McKinley City Council voted 7-0 to approve a major new Islamic Center complex on 5.5 acres, complete with 15,000 square foot sanctuary, classroom buildings, and gym. Residents packed the meeting past midnight. More than 150 people spoke. An Iranian Christian refugee who fled Sharia law stood up and warned the council, I am a Sharia law survivor from Iran. I am here to tell you this is a dangerous ideology you are allowing into your country. There is, if they get approval for something like this, there is always something you can do at the local level. And it generally involves petroleum products. Your mileage may vary. Other residents voice fears that the project could become a training ground for those seeking to overturn the nation's foundations. The U.S. Representative Keith Self told the crowd that child marriage and honor killings are not theoretical under political Islam, that the freedom to choose one's faith does not exist in political Islam. It is a point of fact. There are no Christian churches in Saudi Arabia. Our friends, the Saudis, would never allow a Christian church to be built in Saudi Arabia for good reason. City officials claim their hands were tied by zoning rules in the First Amendment. Locals saw something far more deliberate. This is not an isolated zoning fight. Congressman Self has already exposed Sharia adherent Muslims only enclaves operating for years in East Plano and Irvine, positioned right next to police headquarters. Sharia is alive and well and operating in Plano, Texas. He Self has stated, urging this is not a hypothetical future threat. This is here now and operational. Gentlemen, your comments.
They're hiding because they're afraid they're going to be called racist or something. So this is how they deal with it. We saw it in Culpeper, Virginia, when they tried to put in a mosque, and the minute they start calling people racists, they fold. Politicians are afraid of these little labels, and those of us who have been called these things and been called Nazis and stuff for years now, they have no meaning to us. Those labels mean nothing, but to a politician, that's everything. They're cowards. Cowards.
Yeah, I think that we give in to them because they intentionally are loud and vocal about it, and we shouldn't.
In May, Abbott directed Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board to issue an immediate cease and desist order against the unauthorized Texas American Muslim University operating in the Dallas area without a required certificate of authority. Abbott said he directed the board to issue the cease and desist to Texas A&M as unauthorized Islamic educational institution operating illegally in Texas, warning that if they refuse to comply, legal action will follow. Texas will not allow illegal educational institutions to operate in our state. Around the same period, a taxpayer-supported water park in Grand Park advertised a Muslim-only Eid event. I think we actually covered this here on the show. With Islamic etiquette rules, Abbott intervened, making clear that the city risked losing substantial state funding if exclusive religious events proceeded on public facilities. They keep trying all these different kind of and they're looking for success. And it's sad that we aren't fighting back stronger about this. It's sad that most Americans have no idea what Islam really is. They think it's a religion. It's not. It's a governance system with a religious component tacked on for adherence. It's one thing Joe,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it's one thing like with communists, they say if you're not a good socialist, we will execute you, right? Well, if you believe something different than what they believe, then you can say, well, at least I'll be free in death, right? Like I'll go to heaven or whatever. But in Islam, when they get you with Islam, it's like if you go against them, then you go to hell. I mean, it's kind of like it's like there's this whole religious guilt authority structure in place that makes people continue to do things even though they don't want to do them.
Somebody proposed to me an interesting way to categorize between religions and cults, and I think this is perfect. I think like the one hard split is, are you allowed to leave?
I don't know that.
No, well, maybe I'm wrong, but you can walk away from a Christian church without anybody trying to kill you. You can walk away from just about any other church without anybody trying to kill you.
Technically, you can walk away from the Moonies without anybody trying to kill you. That being said, the Moonies are very definitely a cult.
So there's a question that says, but aren't they correct that they're hamstrung by the First Amendment and zoning laws? If someone could put up a church, they'd be sued rather than put up a mosque. A mosque is one thing. What they're putting up are these Islamic communities that are a mosque, a community center, and houses that are only for Muslims. That's the difference, and that's illegal.
Yeah. It's the entire kind of structure. Like if you just say you're going to put up a mosque, now you can fight against it, but ultimately, probably they can do that. What they can't do is essentially zone an entire area to where it's basically a Muslim-only area. Or if you were non-Muslim living in that area, it would be so uncomfortable that you would be forced to probably move out. And what they've done in these areas is like, for instance, the young ladies that are going out for a jog, they'll shame them and they'll heckle them and things like this. Harass them until because they're not fully covered up and all this kind of stuff. So they basically socially enforce social enforcement. I wonder where I heard that before. Socially enforce Islamic Sharia law. I think you have some Islamic social enforcers, if I remember correctly, in Blue John, Blaine.
First book in Detroit, outside Dearborn.
Yeah.
Chaldean community. And I dealt with the Chaldeans when I lived in Detroit, and not a good community to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, it's not only the Muslims doing this. If you go throughout Metro Detroit, I guess is my best example because of where I have experience with, Indians do the same thing. They'll throw up a temple, and then all around it will be developments by Sikh Development Company or Sikh management, and only Indians are ever allowed to move in there. They get around it by saying, no, it's just a housing development, and nobody else qualifies for the loans except Indian people.
Yeah.
But that's actually not legal either, but they do it.
Or the other thing, Joe, is that they basically say, you know, I don't know. I lost my train of thought there. Anyway, so we'll just move on.
Well, the other thing that happens in the Dearborn area is they'll come in and they'll buy a house from a Christian family, right? And then they tear it down and they rebuild it, and they make it out of brick or concrete. And above the door, they put the Shahada, the statement of faith. So then what does that do? That effectively takes that house off the market for anyone else.
Well, I mean, you know, you were talking about like loans and things like that. You know, it goes, I think, even further than that. I mean, like, let's say you show up with money to buy one of these apartments. Like, I don't need your loan or anything like that. I'm just going to pay in cash. Well, sorry, we're not gonna sell to you. You know, I mean, it's literally like discrimination in housing. You know, it's like even if you've got money to spend, they won't allow you to move into these projects. And I heard the Indian communities are specific about that.
Well, I will tell you, I went to India on business. I was made to go. No one voluntarily goes to India. And, you know, they struggle with the Islam community moving in. And they were telling me how it operates in India. They come in, they set up a mosque in a block, they buy a house, and they basically run down the neighborhood to the point where people flee it. And then those houses are filled, and then they move on to the next block. This is and India views it as a slow conquest, block by block of their cities.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Now, this is not Muslim conquest of America, but this is Americans taking back their own kind of symbols and traditions, and I'm all for this. Now, am I all for senseless violence? No, but I don't think it's senseless when somebody says "fuck America" in the middle of the national anthem.
You want me to just roll it?
Yeah, just play the video here and I'll.
I guess we probably shouldn't play the copywritten music.
Yeah, so outrage is erupting in Charlotte, North Carolina after a group of white men began tackling and fighting a black man who screamed "fuck America" while the crowd was chanting "USA, USA, USA." One of the men can be heard saying, "If you don't like it here, then leave." You know, I'm not going to say, you know, like I said, beating somebody in public is a good thing, but sometimes beating somebody in public is a good thing. I mean,
well, I think Joe would tell you, always be situationally aware of where you're at when you're doing something. And if you're going to be in an audience of thousands of people chanting USA, USA, probably standing up and screaming "fuck America" is probably inviting getting your ass beat.
So yeah, hello, welcome to the consequences of your own actions, right? Yeah. I'm actually I'm not as outraged by this as many are, and sure, probably shouldn't have had a bunch of guys jump on him, but if one guy punched him in the mouth, the dude got what he deserved. And I can't walk into a Muslim gathering and shout, you know, "I hate the Prophet" without violence.
Yeah.
Difference.
you need to have half a brain, and you need to know there's a place for you to say that and a place that's going to lead to your ass getting beat.
That's one of the biggest problems in America right now, right? We've taken that away. We've made everything so nerfed and astroturfed and protected and bubble wrapped that there's never any consequences for your own actions anymore. Hey, man,
you say he's ever going to do this again, Joe?
Punched in the mouth.
Do you think he's ever going to do that again, Joe?
Probably not, no.
Yeah. All right, then the problem's solved.
Yeah, well
listen, though, I say the same thing about Jake Lang, and we'll see what happens to him. I don't know if it was last night or tonight, but Jake Lang goes out and says the most outlandish stuff and then cries foul when he gets punched in the mouth. Well, you go to an Islamic event and say the things Jake Lang says, you're probably going to get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
but here's
I'm fair on this on both sides, right?
But I will say that an Islamic event or is it in public in America, right? You know what I mean? Like, and they're literally an invasive species. I don't know that we should allow invasive species to freely assault Americans expressing their First Amendment points of view. Now,
Please
I'm not
don't include Jake. Don't defend Jake.
No,
Lang,
but my point is if you're walking down the street and some Muslim said something to you and you spoke up against him and then you got punched in the mouth, I wouldn't say you deserved it, right? You know, because you're doing exactly what you should be able to do as an American, right? And even though, and that's the whole point of the First Amendment, is Jake Lang, as much as we all detest this guy, you know, he's got the right to do what he's doing, and you know.
Well, yeah, everybody gets this confused because they're like, well, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Actually, the Supreme Court ruling was you could do that. But there's consequences that could happen. If somebody gets injured as a result of that, you can be sued. You know, you can't just, it's not people confuse their First Amendment rights with, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And it's not that. It's, you know, there are consequences to what happens. You know, somebody posted in the chat, and I agree with them. They said keyboard warrior. And this is what social media has done is, gee, on social media, I can type that stuff all day long. But when I walk into a coliseum full of patriotic Americans and do it, I got my ass kicked. This kid will also be the first one to scream it was racist. Let's be honest. That's how it's going to get played.
Let me explain the opposites to Jake Lang, because there's people who apparently are like, oh my God, I like Jake. You can make the same points he makes without being outlandish and over the top. And being outlandish and over the top gets him on the news, because when he's outlandish and over the top, somebody always punches him in the face. When that's your whole thing, that you're not being effective as a political movement. What you're doing is you're turning people off to the good commentary that's being said, because your antics take over the news cycle rather than the actual good points you're making. So just like militia guys showing up at all the Second Amendment events in full gear with rifles and all that, can't you just show up in concealed carry? Because that is something people can understand with, or can align with. They can't align with everyone showing up in plate carriers and kit and packs and rifles everywhere they go. So don't be so extreme in your beliefs that you turn people off. Yeah, I can have that belief, but I don't have to demonstrate it. It's can versus should argument.
Yeah, well said. All right. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Anybody who doesn't put plates in his plate carrier, you shouldn't really pay any attention to that guy.
Yeah.
That's just, you know, good business practices. All right, let's move on. Next up is, this is the border one. This is where you see our where we got our badass thumbnail. So you're looking from the U.S. side into the Mexico side with the kind of the creek there in the middle of this ditch as essentially the border. This is a whole of government approach. CBP, along with several federal and state partners, including CBP AMO, HSI, Homeland Security Investigation Headquarters, FBI, DEA, Texas DPS, Texas military, along with the Mexican military, conducted a joint combined security patrol. Now, keep in mind, see that Humvee on the far side and the white pickup truck? Those are the Mexican military and the federales.
That is the Mexican Cavalry Division.
Exactly right. Those were a U.S. Border Patrol on horseback, actually, that walked by. So you basically have got this kind of show of force on both sides of the border as a joint effort. I think this is a good sign. Basically shows security cooperation along the El Paso Juarez border today. Against the newly foreign terrorist organization, the Juarez La Lina cartel. And of course they did a Black Hawk insertion there, just to
I believe the Texas game wardens are in on that. Those game warden trucks at the back.
Which ones are those?
They're the plain white ones after those two Texas DPS trucks.
Forgive me if somebody already said something about this, but I mean, as cool as the hardware is no one gonna say something about the supervillain headquarters in the background?
Oh, that's just
Right.
That's this park in the middle of Juarez. Well, it's not in the middle of Juarez. It's right up against the border. There's a border park or whatever. Go figure.
Hold on. Stand by. I got people.
It reminds me of It's a Mad World. Look for it under a big W.
Exactly right.
Yeah. In this case, it's look for me under the big X.
Oh, that's so funny. It's so weird having lived in El Paso, like seeing that that kind of stuff. Oh, excuse me. All right. Well, when I first saw the first bit of this, and all the Border Patrol guys on their ATVs, I was like, what is this, some sort of teen takeover, like the Rough Riders going through Brooklyn or something like this? But then no, it was the Border Patrol. All right. I think we got one more left in. Oh, yeah. Here we go. So WTF Utah. Inside Utah's trans-Marxist militia, from Cuba revolutionary trips and rifle training to declaring war on landlords. Yes, because all that is going to go really well. Over the last few years, individuals and groups tied to violent extremist LGBTQ activism have been emerging in the heart of Utah. Go figure. Who knew Utah was a repressed Utah was a hotbed of Trantifa. In May, we exposed how the extremist students and clubs at UVU had been responsible for vandalism, violent threats, and rhetoric, even justifying the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Some even left words like Bella Ciao on the sidewalk during the left-wing protests. In June, we documented the LGBTQ gathering in Provo, where individuals beat an effigy of a police officer and wrote extremist propaganda in chalk. And yet they are going after Reckless Ben in that same General Ballywick, if I remember correctly. These appearances of violent LGBTQ activism are minor compared to the actions and rhetoric of these of a group called Armed Queers for Salt Lake City. Amazing name, which has been at the center of this radical movement for some time, describing itself as socialist, trans-led collective. It's always a collective, Armed Queers for Salt Lake City emerged in 2020 with the purpose of combining armed community defense with their far-left Marxist-Leninist and radical LGBTQ ideologies. I'm curious what would have happened if Trantifa had shown up at in Lenin's office back in the 1920s. I don't think it would have gone well. A recruitment card we obtained said the group works towards the armed protection of queer and trans communities, the end of capitalist exploitation, the trans liberation of the gender binary, housing as a human right, the abolishment of prisons and police, and the dismantling of the nonprofit industrial complex. In a 2024 interview, the group framed its work as defending people it considers endangered from the both right-wing vigilantes of the state. At a public event the following year, one member described it as plainly a queer and trans-led Marxist-Leninist organization. Gentlemen, what more do we need than more? I mean, talk about social enforcement. These are literally the people that put on the uniform the next day after the White House fell in Blue Dawn, Blaine.
Yeah, well, yeah. Did they go to Cuba? Was that part of this?
Yes.
Cuba got training? Okay. Well, then Cuba is trying to influence American politics, and Cuba should be treated even worse than it is now. You would think somebody who went to Cuba, saw what Marxism was, would go, I don't know if we should be aligning with this, but these people are so stupid, that they go, yeah, but we're going to do it better.
Yeah. They just they're not as good as us. We're going to do it better. It says here, weapons training and trips to Cuba. In an archive of Instagram posts acquired before Armed Queers took down the page, reveals some of the group's normal operation. Yeah, it's long, Watcher. You're going to have to scroll a little bit. Let's see. Reveals some of the group's normal operations before September 2025. These activities include monthly firearm training sessions, providing citizen defense for LGBTQ pride events, holding educational forums, and even sending members to Cuba to be trained and to participate in the Mayday Brigade. That sounds like terrorism to me. When we attended their June 2026 meeting, we learned that these activities were still ongoing and they were not entirely ended in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination. A recent post from founder Ermaya Fanine, that's kind of a weird name. A lot of vowels in a row there. Aian. Confirms the members affiliated with Armed Queers for SLC have traveled to Cuba this summer. And there's her report back on all this great stuff that they're doing there.
So, hey, what would happen to me if I traveled to Russia and received paramilitary training and came back?
You wouldn't come back.
Yeah,
you'd be arrested as soon as you stepped off the plane. Remember, we had Max Morton on one day, and he was talking about that. Like, hey, all you guys who are saying you're going to go and fight in Ukraine, you're going to step off the plane and be labeled a foreign fighter. Same kind of situation here.
I would like to offer some exclusive insight offered by, shall we say, proximity. There's a lot of questions in the chat. I'm going to try and answer most of them that I've seen. And the first one is, what the hell's going on in Utah? What's going on with the Mormons? Well, I mean, step back and first say, we're talking about the Salt Lake Valley. Why is that interesting and weird? Well, the LDS Church in general, the membership are extremely conservative. However, there's this weird filtering thing where the most leftist among you tend to congregate, and they tend to congregate in the city in which most of the power in an organization is held. Where is that for the Mormons? It's Salt Lake.
And then the Mormon Church yeeted Watcher.
I mean, I'm not saying it had anything to do with it, but it had something to do with it. All right.
I like the fact that they try to justify this. Like, we have to provide security at gay and trans events. And I would pose it this way. Have there ever been any attacks at or transgender events by right-wingers or anything else? In fact, let's be honest. More people are killed by trans people with guns than they are by right-wingers with guns, both in this country and in Canada, where you're not supposed to be able to do that. So they are the problem, claiming that they're there for the solution.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
kind of like
um,
shoot themselves in the foot, so to speak, by calling themselves the armed queers, because I just can't take them seriously.
Yeah. Real quick, and I was just going to add that the second thing that happened is a similar thing that happened everywhere else, but far more targeted, and that is that the Marxists specifically target Utah schools because they know that the Mormons' children are significantly more conservative. All of the like horrible things you hear about happening in school systems all over are generally magnified when you hear about them specifically inside of the Utah college system. That is where they send some of their most vehement Marxist instructors, and they do it on purpose because they know that the Mormons have an extremely high cultural pressure for all of their children to go to college, even if they don't plan to use the degree. That is just part of their like enrichment program. It's seen as just a step in your basic education to get some kind of degree, even if you never plan to use it.
Well, I tell you, the funny thing about as conservative religious groups have have gone, the Mormons have done the worst job of maintaining a conservative organization and the property that they literally control outright.
Really, I don't know if I would say that at all, because they don't really control it outright in Utah. That is the observation everybody makes. That is not true inside of the Salt Lake Valley, and it hasn't been true for a very long time, as you can tell by all of the many
populations are they?
Again, percentage of the population by state or percentage of population inside the Salt Lake Valley. And also remember, like I said, there are extreme leftist members.
Let's keep it really simple. By the state.
I wouldn't know anymore. It's been a long time.
Is 40 to 60% a safe amount?
Let's see. It's probably higher than that, I would say. It's actually no 60. It's high 60s. It's like 62.
My point is that within the Mormon community, there should be no reason why whoever they decide as a group they want to, when I say they, I mean the LDS Church.
Well, no, that's factual, but like I said, that's why I preface this with, hey, do you know where all the hyper leftist Mormons go? And I don't just mean from Utah. I mean from all over the country.
No, Joe. Joe. I'm sorry, Watcher. It's not hyper leftist for Mormons. It's leftist in every precinct ever. I mean, leftists discovered leftism go to urban area because they want good coffee, right? That's kind of how it works.
Factual,
right?
But what I'm saying is that's usually like I'll go to the state capital. What I'm saying is this is a national and international level draw. You don't just get the lefties from our state. You get the lefty Mormons from all of your states. They all move to Utah to try and be a part of the church organization.
So a question has come up in the chat. How do we know they didn't swap out Watcher while he was gone? Right there is how you know. That's clearly our Watcher.
It says right here, Watcher is Joseph Smith? Question mark.
More of a Brigham Young.
I've always been told my beard takes on more of a Brigham Young shape.
But yeah, Brigham Young fought the only war against the federal government that won, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you guys ought to take a look at
I didn't know that. That's very cool.
At, the Utah War.
I found out when I traveled to Utah and I signed in at a hotel once, and they were like, "Oh, are you related to?" And they started rattling off.
That's where you say, "Why, yes, I am related."
All these pardos that were big influencers in the LDS, and I was like, I don't know, maybe, probably.
Yes. When they ask you if you are a god, you say yes.
My grandfather was a vice president of Ferris State University.
Wow. See, I like Ferris State because we went there. They had a pharmaceutical college. Their parties were the best.
Yes, and actually, they're one of the best pharmaceutical schools in the country. I mean, they're pretty serious. I know
don't drink the punch at a party at Ferris.
Pharmacology from there, yeah.
Don't drink the punch at a party at Ferris. I remember that very distinctly.
So, just one more. People are asking a bunch of stuff. No, like I said, I want to make it clear. If you go to any non-urban area in Utah, you're likely to find people who largely agree with your views on almost everything. If you go to the Salt Lake Valley, first of all, don't, but also I don't know if you guys know this, because maybe this isn't talked about much. A lot of Silicon Valley moved to Salt Lake and have been calling it the new Silicon Valley for like 10 years now. And they brought all of their money and politics with them.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about Iran war, shall we? Guess what? Tehran's Houthi proxies attacked Saudi Aramco again. Crude spike says Iran's military command set to be more aggressive. Let's see here. Oil prices spiked on Thursday on emerging reports of Houthis have freshly targeted an Aramco refinery in Saudi Arabia's Jizan with 2 drones, according to the Saba news agency. This seems to have this is part of Iran's counter-pressure playbook against Washington and its Gulf allies. Given the Houthis have been a proxy arm of Iran, the Houthi group is in the midst of a siege war on Saudi shipping and energy. The Hormuz stalemate is meanwhile continuing, given Pete Hegseth now says that the U.S. military can maintain a blockade on Iranian ports for as long as needed. We'll be talking about that with a quote from Defense of the Secretary of War, Hegseth. Let's see, attrition game outlasting U.S. policies. Top advisor of the commander of the IRGC has been signaling Iran's more aggressive stance in media appearances this week. Also, following a significant reshuffle of top military leadership. We have to attain deterrence so that the enemy never dares to attack us, so we can live with security, he says in an interview with PBS. That's the one we played video from on Wednesday, I believe. One way is to prolong the war until we get the next term of the presidency and cause attrition. Alluding to recent military reorganization, whenever conditions are favorable, the order is issued. We must be able to take the operation into enemy territory, which is something we'll talk a little more about later, while contrasting the approach with a pre-war doctrine primarily based on defense and the preservation of the country. Seasoned hardliners are now in command in a sweeping overhaul. The government's top echelon on Sunday and Monday, Iran named seasoned hardliners to run the country's security policies and institutions of repression. It marked the most significant government reshuffle under Khamenei, who hasn't been seen in public since the war began, i.e. he may be dead, or he may be injured, or he may not be competent. U.S. intelligence agencies say he is alive but severely injured. Top Iranian cabinet members say they have never met him since he took office. Iranian officials say he was injured but in good health. Analysts said the appointments signal Khamenei's...
You can't be injured and in good health. Those two things are not the same thing.
Hold fast in a showdown with President Trump, who is seeking concessions on Iran's nuclear program and the Straits of Hormuz. The regime is preparing for a more confrontational posture at home. This will be interesting because if they get more active, then I'm absolutely sure that will bring the DOD or the DOW back into greater action in Iran, which they have not done in recent weeks. Let's see. Kind of going down here. Basically,
this not in this story or in any others is that in the last couple of hours, 2 ships have been struck and are on fire in the Strait of Hormuz on the outbound lane, which would imply that the Iranians struck them because they were using the Omani path rather than the Iranian path.
And this is a source of this story is Al Jazeera, but it's not in the notes. Saudi Arabia has pulled together 13 countries to guard the Red Sea without waiting for Washington. They're now completed their national procedures and officially joined the Saudi-led multinational maritime defense alliance set up to protect shipping through the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. It exists because the Houthis, who declared the maritime embargo on Saudi Arabia on July 20th, and then began hitting Saudi-linked ships. 2 names are missing, are UAE and Oman. Both have real stakes here. and both stayed out, which tells you how aligned the Gulf really is right now. For years, Washington led the Red Sea coalitions. One is Saudi run, and that's the real story. It'll be interesting. Is this one of these kind of things that once Saudi gets immobilized, then the Americans come in and help out, i.e. do all the work? What do you guys think on that one?
I think that this is a fine idea. I think it's about time the Saudis had some actual skin in the game.
Yes.
The attacks on Aramco are really solidifying their need to actually do something rather than wait for Western powers to do it. So we'll see what happens. I kind of like this idea of Saudi Arabia actually leading something at sea and doing it. However, I will remind everyone they are a desert people. So I don't know that they're going to be exceptionally well at sea, but at least they're going to try. And I give them credit for that. And I want to just pour a little cold water on the ladies. If you had gotten on the show in time, you would have seen Pete Hegseth. But you're coming to the show late. Now you're demanding pictures. You snooze, you lose, girls. Sorry.
Well, I do have not nearly as good a visual, but I do have a quote from Pete Hegseth coming later in this topic.
Hey, Gene,
right.
we're glad you're okay after a car accident, by the way.
Yeah. What happened?
She got in a car accident yesterday, apparently.
That's terrible. I'm just kind of going back to see what I missed in it. Yesterday I was in a horrible car accident yesterday. My car was totaled. So, oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry,
See?
man. Having
Yeah,
a car,
that's
I'm seeing the next one, and that moment when a car gets towed away is generally gut wrenching. I'm so sorry.
All right, let me kind of close that out and close that out. Let's get back to the notes. All right. Overnight, Iran hit Erbil with drones, it looks like. Air defense knocked them out over the Kurdish province, and the wreckage came down in residential areas of Erbil airport. No injuries were reported. Some reports say the drones were aimed at the Rotana Hotel in Erbil, housing U.S. troops, but this is not confirmed. The U.S. president's presence at the site is also speculation for now. What's clear is the drones were intercepted and fell near the hotel, not on it. I mean, I tell you want to get Trump reinvigorated again. Just kill some more Americans,
Well, that's one of the interesting things. Some of these hits at the Aramco facility that have casualties on the ground, there have to be Americans among them. I mean, there's a lot of Americans at those Aramco facilities.
Yeah.
Well, what they never really tell you, though, is they're moving between 15 and 20 million barrels of oil out every day through the straits. So
despite everything. Yeah,
despite all of this, and I get the media tends to focus on, oh my God, they're shooting at a ship or whatever. Yeah, but stuff is still flowing. And, Iran is very impotent in all of this, and it's not flowing through Iranian ports. So there's a point where maybe Iran will collapse. I doubt it. They're not really highly motivated to do that. But their ultimate strategy is to drag out and influence the 2026 midterm elections. That's what they did in 79 and 80. Joe remembers this because, they freed the hostages while Ronald Reagan was being sworn in. They will drag this out. This is their strategy, and they think that's going to work to their advantage. The difference is Donald Trump is not Jimmy Carter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Like I said, the worst thing that they could do would be to kill some Americans. Watcher, just skip the next one because it's kind of redundant.
I want to tell a quick story in the middle of this. There is a success story that's going on that's actually not appearing in the news, so I'll tell it. There was one wreck 3 days ago. The Iranians hit that we reported it that there was water being reported or fire being reported on the water, which tells us that there was an oil slick from an Iranian hit. Ambry Maritime has put men on that and is defending it, and they've got spill containment up. And here's the thing: no government is doing this, but a private security entity is trying to salvage the leaking wreck to prevent the environmental damage. When none of the governments in the area will put their people at risk to go in those waters, Ambry Maritime is there. So, good deal.
Okay. The next one here is an interview. This is like almost 5 minutes long.
Oh, I must not have the right one because it's 13 seconds.
This one
All
right
you
here.
told me to
look at the notes. The Pepe Escobar.
Hold up. There you go. Yeah, I don't know where I missed that at. Let me pull that up.
Says here, let me just kind of preface this before he gets it up and plays the video. Pepe Escobar argues that Iran's reported dismantling of a CIA Mossad cell in Balochistan is another sign that the conflict is evolving into a much broader hybrid war, stretching from West Asia into South Asia. He explains that Balochistan has long been a flashpoint in how foreign intelligence networks have exploited the region and why Iran's development plans around the strategic port of Shabar have made make the area even more important. So, and according to Escobar, this is only going to get worse. So let's give a listen here. Maybe first minute and a half or so.
Commander yesterday spoke to PBS where he said the same thing, that we're going to be attacking American interests anywhere in the world if this continues. And now we're getting a report like this from Iran of them dismantling a CIA Mossad cell in Balochistan. Putting all these pieces together, is that more indicators that this does seem more and more likely to be a prolonged conflict?
Absolutely, because this would be one facet of the hybrid wars all across West Asia and extrapolating to South Asia as well. Well, I'm one of the very few foreigners who actually been to both Balochistan, the Pakistani and the Iranian last year. Do you know why I could never go to Iranian Balochistan? And I was trying for 20 years, Mario. We only went last year because we were shooting a documentary, so we had a list of permits to go anywhere. And the Iranians always treated me as a foreign correspondent going constantly to Iran. They said, look, we can't let you go there because it's not safe. And it's not safe for you. If you have one of those Baluchi MI6 CIA infiltrated movements, and they go back and forth, and they kill Iranian soldiers and border points, etc. If you are caught in the middle of, although I said, look, come on, give me an armed escort. I did this in Afghanistan. Why I cannot do it with you guys? But they said, no, it's really dangerous. And they explained to me in detail. And it's true. Because years before, I had been to the Pakistani Balochistan, where I even interviewed members of the Balochistan Liberation Army, BLA. And these guys are really, really hardcore. Because they are, at the same time, anti-Islamabad, anti the government in Islamabad, whoever is in power.
All right, let's pause here.
Anti-ISI.
So I think the big news ultimately, if any of this is true, is that there is active CIA Mossad operations with the terror groups that don't like the Iranian government. This is absolutely shocking to me. I can't believe we would do such a thing during a war with Iran. I don't know if this is meant to be kind of like confirmation of something we all always kind of figured was already happening, or if this is, I mean, they can't all stay under the radar. Some of them are going to get popped. So that part doesn't surprise me.
Look, it's bullshit. It's pure bullshit, Scott. It's like, how many times have they sunk the Abraham Lincoln? Okay. If they had broken up a cell, we'd be seeing the dead bodies of these guys. It's easy to take a bunch of AKs, lay them out, and stack up bullets to look pretty around the magazines. Big deal. That yeah,
I was trying to figure out what the point of displaying the rounds like that was. There
That was
doesn't appear
weird.
to be one.
That was
But I would
weird.
like
I was
to
like,
make a
am I
bid
looking
on the
at people?
Tokarev pistol they had in there, right?
Yeah. If they had quote unquote broken it up, we would be seeing dead bodies dragged through the streets, and that didn't happen. So this is
Especially
just
if
more
they were
prop-
American or MI6, right? American or British agents.
Well, here's my kind of thought. What they probably did was they probably popped a 6-man Baluchistan BLA team, right? And when they looked at all the bodies, they realized they were all Pakistani and or southeastern Iranian. They're like, well, no Americans or Jews that we can point to, so we don't need to show their bodies. But this is they've got it. They're against us during a war. They've got to be supported by the CIA and the Mossad. And guess what? They probably are. But these 6 guys, there's probably 6,000 more where they came from. So this is not what I would call a great victory on the part of the Iranians.
If it was, we'd be seeing the bodies paraded out in the streets, and we saw
especially if there was an American. Yeah, if there was a white guy in there, even if he was from fucking Russia, they would be pulling him, dragging him through the street.
This is just propaganda bullshit, and this guy's feeding into it like he's an expert.
Joe, you remember when those Tokarevs were
133 pistol? Yeah,
were $150 all day long in the late 90s?
Yeah, and now unobtainium. So
are they really that hard to find now?
They are here, not necessarily. In the Hindu Kush, you could probably find a lot of them, but here, I don't know. I haven't had any luck. I haven't really gone looking though. But the problem is finding 7.62 by 25.
Yeah. That round is not what you would call common. All right. I guess we lost Watcher, so I got to do it all myself. Here we go. Let's show the next one here. Here we go. This is it's funny when the Arabs basically pop the Western media bubble about American Israel being everybody's enemies. All right, so this guy is clearly not. He's speaking some kind of gibberish language. I assume is Arabic. But let me read for you what he has said here. I've got the kind of the quote here. Iran is our enemy, not Israel. Without U.S. bases, Iran would have reached Kuwait, and we would all be speaking Persian. I guess that eliminates Persian as the gibberish language he was speaking. Are we expected to turn a blind eye when Iran attacks our desalination plants and power stations? So this is from the Kuwaiti point of view. This guy is a former Kuwaiti information minister. Speaking of white guys in the Middle East, it's not a very Arab looking man to me, but what do I know?
I like his Pizza Hut tablecloth.
Persians will be the first to tell you that they're not Arabs.
Well, this guy's Kuwaiti though.
He doesn't look very Kuwaiti to me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Right. Yeah,
is that James O'Keefe?
I actually thought about that, but I was like, I don't want to mix my metaphors here. But yes, it looks like James O'Keefe's. And you know what's sad is this guy looks more ridiculous even than James O'Keefe did in his thing. So it's like if James O'Keefe had been wearing this getup when he showed up, they were, I don't believe this. That's too much.
Yeah, this looks very Hollywoody.
Yeah, so the funny thing here is that the Arabs really don't like the Kuwait, the Persians or Iran, specifically the IRGC. I'm sure they would love to have a sectarian government, Iranian government next door, like a Turkey kind of, if they did it like Turkey. But yeah, that's not what they've got, and so good luck with that in the end. This next one though is kind of funny because it deals with our good old buddy Sink he says so. Sink says everybody knows it's just Israel falsifying documents to make it look like Iran is trying to kill Trump, and then this is like literally in response to that. This video is played on Iranian television. Let me see if I can reload it and get the video to work. Yeah, here we go. These bunch of poor soldiers, killing them was not our goal. God willing, we aim to kill Trump. So, Sink, what, I mean, this is what the IRGC is saying. I mean, so tell us again about how they're not trying to kill Trump.
That guy just ordered himself a pine box.
I am just saying it sounds awful lot like they're trying to kill Trump. I mean, you know.
Let's see what this guy's life expectancy is. Oh, that guy's probably already dead. This is from February 2023.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, so clearly killing Trump is on the table for the Iranians. I mean, you know, heaven forbid we actually take them at their word, Joe.
Right.
Hold on a second. Sorry, I got some technical difficulties here on my end.
I'll bet you that guy's already dead.
Oh yeah, this guy's in a pine box for sure, or either that or just in a smoking hole in the ground.
They didn't find enough of him to put in the box.
Exactly right. Let's see. Let me delete that.
I figured out where we saw that last guy from, the alleged Kuwaiti. He was in the Rock the Casbah video.
Wasn't he a member of the Clash back in the 70s?
No, he was the dude walking around with a jukebox in the desert.
That's right. That's exactly right. All right. This next one here, just when they think they're getting ahead, and you know, ready to get going in various different ways, Israel gives them another blow to Iran's nuclear ambitions. As per Iranian opposition, a top Iranian nuclear scientist, Dr. Ibrahim Hossein, was eliminated by an unknown gunman when he was traveling to his hometown. It looks like Mossad is working overtime still in Iran. So yeah, it doesn't pay to be an Iranian nuclear scientist for sure. Is Israel connecting people?
That was actually funny.
I like it.
It's off to the next life for you, friend. I guarantee you won't be.
Well, they need is Ali Khomeini, you know, like the original Ayatollah in there, you know, because he's for sure.
They need Soleimani in there. So
I thought that's who this was right here.
That's not Soleimani.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right, so this is some fact checking by CENTCOM. Claim over the past 48 hours, multiple media outlets have reported that several false claims related to USS Abraham Lincoln CVN 72 deployment to the Middle East. One report alleged 7 sailors died in a brawl aboard the aircraft carrier, and others have suggested a spike in suicidal ideations. These reports are false. The Abraham Lincoln has maintained amongst the highest crew reenlistment rates at 84.4% of all aircraft carriers in the Navy. The sailors and Marines of the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group remain resilient and resolved after more than 260 days at sea, 10,000 aircraft flights, 1.5 million pounds of ordnance expended. No service members aboard the aircraft carrier have died, and one sailor who fell overboard August 3rd was quickly and safely recovered. The rampant misreporting on Abraham Lincoln's historic deployment is a disservice to our men and women in uniform and their loved ones. So let me get this straight. A typical 9-month deployment for a Navy vessel is ending, and it's because everything is broken. I mean, this is this is ridiculous.
Well, they're saying the conditions are horrible aboard ship and that the suicide rate's spiking. And you know, the media runs with this as if it's actual, but they don't do the actual research to prove it. And I don't care what anybody says. I can mock up a text message as easily as the next person.
That's what I was going to say. These are screenshots of text messages with no provenance as far as where they came from and who wrote them. And here's the thing too. I'm a young Navy sailor. I'm 19 years old. I'm not very happy. I'm probably going to say things to my family that aren't necessarily true just to get their sympathy, right?
Yeah.
I'm not buying any of that.
Yep. I don't buy any of it either. And let's be honest, most of these reports are coming from they're coming from places that are essentially propaganda networks against the United States government.
Well, here's the other thing. It's bad propaganda too. Like, oh no, you didn't have, like, you got to sit in air conditioning, but your meals weren't exactly the meals you wanted for a couple of days on a 9-month deployment. Golly gee, who's ever heard of a 9-month deployment before? Oh wait,
that was a typical
the 24th
deployment.
MEU had one of the longest in history, and it stretched out quite a while. And here's the deal: if morale was really that bad on the ship, we would have seen an aircraft crash by now, and we have not. Right?
Yeah.
When you have bad morale, everyone starts to work sloppily, right? And we haven't had that happen. So,
and the last one here is one more for the ladies. We started with him, and we'll end with him. Another quote from the glorious Secretary of War, Mr. P. Hegseth.
To hold it as long as we need to. Indefinitely, the United States Navy can maintain a blockade like that because we'll rotate ships in and out as we have and we'll continue to. And it's no other nation on Earth, no other Navy on Earth has the capability to have a wall of steel like the U.S. Navy, and then the willingness to use it as we have. So Iran knows it can't get in and out on this blockade, and they know that there's no timeline on it either. We'll hold it as long as we need to.
Well, there you have it. So, I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, it's hard to do, but it's not wrong.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's go around the horn. We're a little over time. We ended early on Wednesday, so I figure maybe we owed a little more back to the audience. Let's go around the horn. Joe, looking into your crystal ball, what do you think we got coming up in the near future?
I think you're going to see a return to kinetic strikes by us against Iran. They're hitting ships on a fairly regular basis, and if we don't answer that, it punks us out on the international stage.
Yeah,
and I expect to see some actual naval action between the Saudis and the Houthis, even if it's just the Saudis shooting up a couple of small boats. So.
Yeah, I mean that would make a little bit of sense. The Houthis do have some of those patrol boats, kind of like the IRGC specials that you see around the Straits of Hormuz, but I don't know that they have much of a navy beyond that. I mean,
what's silly is I've never been a fan, even though I've had to do it many, many, many times, of being out on the big water in a little boat, and those even a rib is not that much fun when you look at the vastness of the sea. So I wish them luck.
Yeah, the Houthi high seas fleet really doesn't scare me that much.
Maybe even the Saudis can deal with it.
Yeah.
Blaine, what's in your kind of file today?
I think there's two things that we need to keep our eyes on for future conflicts. One is what's going on in Ireland. The IRA resurging once more to deal with the Muslim issue is entertaining, and has a lot of implications, and it could be a source of the redemption of Europe finally. The other thing we've got, I strongly suspect that the United States has boots on the ground on some of these small islands in the Strait of Hormuz. I believe that has already happened. And, it's not going to be something that we find out about until later, but I strongly think we've already taken some of those tiny little islands. Because the amount of oil they're moving, when they talk, 15 to 20 million barrels a day moving. Yeah, I agree, Joe. They are shooting at some ships, but they're not shooting at a lot of them.
Shipping is actually down to 10% of pre-war levels. So we're 90% below pre-war levels.
But it's still moving. And, that's something to be said.
All right. Watcher. Of course, he's not there. All right. So for me, it's the PSL and the DSA. Yeah, you were muted. Go ahead.
As far as things to look out for, unfortunately, I might as well have stayed muted because I don't have that much to say apart from the same thing I said last show, which is I'm still watching for the left to do something stupid here domestically, something kinetic and stupid.
Yeah.
Well, okay, then I'll say my piece thing. The PSL and the DSA, I think these are the two things that we need to watch out for, especially if they find that they have lost in the midterms. There are a lot of DSA candidates, and I just don't believe, outside of a few kind of urban areas, that any of these candidates have broad support amongst the American people. And the ones that do get elected are very likely to essentially, kind of screw it up for the rest of them, So it'll be interesting to see what happens. All right, guys, that's all we got for today. Thank you for attending. I want to say thank you to Joe and Blaine and Watcher. Partially for Watcher, because Watcher kept ducking out on us, with technical problems. That back button is kicking his ass. I know it's kicked mine in the past. All right, we will be back on Monday. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you. If you haven't done it already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Let people know you're getting some good stuff over here on the Council for Future Conflict. For all of my guys on the panel, thank you very much. And as always, stay safe.